Welcome back to part 2 of A History of Sportsman's Park. If you missed part 1, click the card in the corner to watch that and get caught up. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's dive in. The Browns' offices sat on Grand Boulevard, and the Cardinals on Dodier Street. Both teams finished the 1920 season just under the 500 mark, and both would cruise to winning records in 1921 and third-place finishes in both leagues. At the end of the season, on October 3rd, the Cardinals played an exhibition game against a local Negro League team, the St. Louis Giants. The Cardinals would win the game 5-4 in 11 innings, in what was the first time ever that a black baseball team played ball at Grand and Dodier. The Cardinals would match their 1921 mark again in 1922, but worth noting is that the Browns improved to second place behind an impressive 93-61 record. Almost 713,000 fans passed through the gates for Browns games that year, a rare, great season from the ball club, while the Cardinals hosted nearly 537,000 of their own. That 712,918 figure that went to the Browns games would end up being their most attended season in franchise history, with those fans treated to a .329 home batting average from the Browns as a team that year, the greatest in league history at the time, and as of 2026, the second highest ever behind the 1950 Red Sox. Both teams fell off a bit after that great 1922 season, with the next winning campaign coming from the Browns in 1925. Sportsman's Park even hosted another no-hitter during this stretch, this one from the arm of Cardinals pitcher Jesse Haynes, who blanked the visiting Braves 5-0 on July 17, 1924. The middle of the decade also saw massive renovations on the ballpark once again. Browns owner Phil Ball, believing he would be fielding championship teams in the near future, felt it was necessary to expand the ballpark. Osborne Engineering was tagged for the project again, this time coming in at a cost of $500,000. Ahead of the 1926 season, the ballpark got a major facelift. The upper deck from the grandstand was extended all the way down to both foul poles. The right field bleachers were replaced with covered seating, and the rest of the outfield bleachers replaced with concrete seating. Lastly, all of the box seating was removed and replaced with new 22-inch wide fold-down seats. When the work was all done, legendary sports writer Red Smith called it a garish county fair sort of layout. That county fair ballpark hosted its first game on April 13, 1926, with 17,000 fans coming to see the Cardinals host the Pirates. The Cards won that game 7-6, christening the new ballpark appropriately. That win set the tone for the 1926 Cardinals, who would go on to win the National League, bringing St. Louis its first pennant in either league. Phil Ball's gut feeling that a World Series would soon be played in St. Louis had been correct, but unfortunately for him, it was his tenant rather than his team that accomplished the feat. For the Browns' part, they took a major step backward, following up a winning campaign in 1925 with an awful 62-92-1 record. After $500,000 spent on the ballpark, Phil Ball watched his tenant more than double his ball club in attendance using that facility, and all he got for it was $20,000 in rent. Wrapping up the 1926 season with an 89-65 mark, the Cardinals snagged that first pennant by a mere 2 games over the Cincinnati Reds. In the city of St. Louis's first modern World Series appearance, the Cardinals matched up with the New York Yankees, who were on the cusp of beginning a decades-long dynasty. Anchored by future Hall of Famers Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Herb Pennock, Waite Hoyt, and so on, the Yankees were a formidable Fall Classic foe. A team with plenty of postseason experience, the Yankees were making their 4th World Series appearance in 6 seasons, establishing dominance over the American League. It was a mountain of a task for the St. Louis Ball Club, but they were anchored by stars of their own. Led by player-manager Rogers Hornsby, Grover Alexander, Jesse Haynes, and other Hall of Fame ballplayers, the Cardinals proved capable of scaling the mountain. The American League had hosting honors, and the series began on October 2nd in the Bronx, where both Bill Shirtle and Herb Pennock dominated on the mound. At the end of the day, the Yanks took the game 2-1 and grabbed a quick 1-0 series lead. The following day, Grover Alexander took the Yankee Stadium mound for the Cardinals and evened up the series, throwing a complete game and winning 6-2. The teams traveled to St. Louis on October 4th, picking up Game 3 on the 5th at SPORTSMAN'S Park. 37,708 fans attended that first ever World Series game played at Grand and Dodier. Knuckleballer Jesse Haynes pitched for the hometown Cardinals, treating the nearly 38,000 fans to a complete game shutout, winning 4-0. With their first World Series win at Sportsman's Park in the books, the Cardinals jumped out to a 2-1 series lead. Their home field advantage failed to hold up in Game 4, as the Cardinals pitching staff was shelled, losing 10-5. Allowing the Yankees to tie up the series, they would fall again in Game 5. Carrying a 2-1 lead into the top of the 9th in front of nearly 40,000 Cardinals faithful, Bill Shirtle blew the lead. He was tagged for another run in the 10th, and when his team failed to respond in their half against Herb Pennock, the game was officially blown. Heading back to the Bronx, the Yankees had taken a 3-2 series lead. With their backs against the wall, Grover Cleveland Alexander took the Yankee Stadium mound and dominated Game 6. The Cardinals offense spotted 2 crooked innings, plating 3 in the first and 5 in the 7th to beat the Yankees 10-2 and force a Game 7. The winner-take-all game of the 1926 World Series took place on October 10th, with future Hall of Famers Waite Hoyt and Jesse Haynes squaring off. The Yankees struck first with a run in the 3rd, but the Cardinals immediately punched back with 3 of their own in the top of the 4th. The score held firm until the bottom of the 6th, when Haynes allowed another Yankee run across. The next inning, Haynes, up 4-2, allowed the Yankees to load the bases. With 2 outs, he was pulled in favor of Game 6 winner Grover Cleveland Alexander. Coming in to face another future Hall of Famer, Tony Lazzeri, Alexander punched him out on 4 pitches, ending the Yankees' threat. Alexander went 1-2-3 in the 8th, then retired the first 2 batters of the 9th. Just 1 out away from sealing the championship, he walked Babe Ruth, and on an 0-1 count to the next batter, Babe Ruth decided, for some reason, to try to steal second. Bob O'Farrell hosed him from behind the plate, suddenly ending the game, shocking the Yankees faithful, and sealing St. Louis's first baseball championship in 40 years. The 1926 World Series is still the only Fall Classic to ever end on a caught stealer. The Cardinals finished second in the National League in 1927, falling to the Pirates and just barely failing to defend their pennant. The Browns, for their part, got even worse, only winning 59 games. Both ball clubs would find success in 1928. The Browns improved their win total by an incredible 23 games, finishing the year 82-71. Despite the massive improvement, Phil Ball and the Browns still struggled to draw fans. Only 339,000 people attended Browns games throughout the season, leaving them dead last in the American League for a 3rd straight year. The Cardinals, finished with 95 wins and claimed the National League pennant for the second time in 3 years. More than doubling their landlord Browns in attendance with 761,000 fans, the Redbirds earned a rematch against the Yankees in the World Series. This one ended up a little less competitive than the 1926 series. With the AL having hosting honors again, the first 2 games were played at Yankee Stadium on October 4th and 5th. Behind solid pitching performances in both games, the Yankees took games 1 and 2 by scores of 4-1 and 9-3. Heading back to St. Louis for the middle 3 games, the Cardinals were already in a dangerous hole. Things didn't get much better in St. Louis as starter Jesse Haynes had a hard time keeping the Yankees' bats under control in Game 3, falling 7-3 in front of a crowd of almost 40,000 fans. The next day, 37,000 people attended Game 4 with the Cardinals on the verge of being swept by the mighty Yankees. They put forward their best effort, leading most of the game before collapsing in the 7th and 8th innings, falling 7-3 once again. The first championship celebration Sportsman's Park would ever see was one from a visiting ball club. An unfortunate circumstance, but as we've seen, the Cardinals were beginning to become a force in the National League. It wouldn't be long before they earned yet another shot at a ring. Sportsman's Park received an update in 1929. While both teams took a step back and wallowed in mediocrity, Browns ownership added a screen atop the right field wall that extended to the roof of the section. The short porch in right field, with an 11.5-foot wall, was susceptible to cheap home runs. The addition of the 25-foot tall screen created a much greater obstacle in the way of round trippers. It extended 156 feet away from the foul pole and into center field. Around this time, Sportsman's Park hosted what might be the most notable superfan the city of St. Louis would ever see. Starting at some point in the 1920s, a rather heavy-set woman by the name of Mary Ott set a post in the 3rd row of Section 16 on the first base side. She was known for pounding beers throughout the game and letting out what was described as an ear-shattering neigh during Cardinals games. She quickly became known around the league as the Horse Lady of St. Louis. Mary Ott attended Cardinals games through some point in the 1940s, terrorizing visiting ball clubs and umpiring crews alike. With a more pitcher-friendly right field and impassioned fans aching for another ring, the Cardinals got back to work in 1930, looking for their 3rd pennant in 5 years. Going 92-62, they just managed to snatch that pennant away from the Cubs by 2 games. Despite the rapidly declining economic situation that Americans were facing that summer, the Cardinals still managed to draw over 500,000 fans, a significantly more impressive mark than their landlord, the Browns. Despite Sportsman's Park belonging to them, the Browns had a hell of a time getting anybody to come see them there. Putting forth a miserable 64-90 campaign, they only managed to draw just over 152,000 fans across the entire 1930 season. At a time in which expendable money was getting ever more scarce, fans in St. Louis would rather spend their precious money seeing a winner. That winner, the Cardinals, were matched up against Connie Mack's Philadelphia Athletics in that year's Fall Classic. 1930 being an even-numbered year, it was again the American League's turn to host, and the A's took full advantage. Games 1 and 2 were on October 1st and 2nd at Shibe Park in Philadelphia, and the A's took both, 5-3 and 6-1, to quickly bury the Cardinals in a 2-0 series hole. The teams traveled to St. Louis on October 3rd, picking the series back up on the 4th in front of almost 37,000 fans at Sportsman's Park. Needing a win to keep any real hope alive, the Cardinals sent out Bill Hallahan to the mound, and he dominated, pitching a complete game shutout. Hallahan beat the A's 5-0 to get the St. Louis squad their first win of the series. Jesse Haynes followed Hallahan up in Game 4 with a 1-run complete game of his own. Almost 40,000 fans saw Game 4, seeing their Cardinals win 3-1 and evening the series up at 2 apiece. When just under 39,000 fans went to Sportsman's Park on October 6th, they were hoping for another dominant pitching performance, and they were treated to just that by Burley Grimes. Grimes threw what was a third straight complete game from a Cardinals pitcher, only allowing 2 runs across. Unfortunately, those 2 runs came across in the 9th inning of what had been a scoreless game. The Cardinals, succumbing to a dominant pitching performance from the A's' George Earnshaw and Lefty Grove, were shut out at home and fell behind in the series 3-2. When the teams played each other at Shibe Park on October 8th, the Cardinals struggled. 4 St. Louis pitchers towed the rubber, allowing 7 athletic runs to score. On the offensive end, they were shut down by George Earnshaw yet again. When all was said and done, the A's won the game 7-1 and closed out their 5th championship. All the Cardinals could do was watch their opponent celebrate and sit in the disappointment of coming up short again. The St. Louis Cardinals returned for the 1931 baseball season with one goal in mind: to win their 2nd World Series. The Browns, for their part, just wanted to be competitive and, well, financially solvent. They struggled with both yet again, winning only 63 games and hosting an improved yet still minuscule 179,126 fans. They actually went over 500 at Sportsman's Park, but just like in 1930, expendable money was stretched thin, and fans would rather spend their money to see the other St. Louis baseball team. The Cardinals would more than triple the Browns' attendance number in 1931, hosting over 608,000 fans across the year. It was for good reason too, as the Redbirds ripped through the National League, finishing 101-53, and taking the league by a massive 13 games over the 2nd-place Giants. Playing their way back into the World Series, they rematched against the Athletics. As impressive as the Cards were in the senior circuit in 1931, the Athletics were even better in the Junior League, winning 107 games to 45 losses, and taking the league by 13 games over the Yankees. With the Cardinals winning their first pennant in an odd-numbered year, Sportsman's Park was finally honored with the hosting of a Fall Classic. Game 1 was on October 1st in front of a crowd of 38,500 fans, who left the ballpark disappointed that afternoon. Scoring 4 in the 3rd and 2 in the 7th, the defending champion Athletics took Game 1 6-2. The Cards got right back into it the next day, when Bill Hallahan shut out the A's 2-0. Almost 36,000 were at that ballgame, sending their team off to Philadelphia with well wishes and good luck. Starting up again on October 5th in Philadelphia, the two teams split games 3 and 4, with the Cards taking the former 5-2 and the A's taking the latter 3-0. In a crucial Game 5, the Redbirds sent Hallahan back out to the mound to take care of business. This time, he allowed a run to score, but just the one, while his offense managed a potent attack against the Athletics pitching staff, scoring 5 to win the game. As the series shifted back to St. Louis, the Cardinals had put themselves in position to clinch the championship on their own diamond. 39,401 fans attended Game 6 on October 9th just to watch a tense ball game devolve into an 8-1 Athletics win. For the 2nd year in a row, the Cardinals and A's would feature a winner-take-all Game 7. The next day, a diminished yet faithful crowd of 20,805 strolled into Sportsman's Park to witness that winner-take-all game. Burley Grimes took the mound for the home team, looking to help the franchise lock up championship number 2. For the Athletics, Connie Mack sent out George Earnshaw, looking to wrap up what would be an unprecedented 3rd consecutive World Championship. It became quickly apparent who had the upper hand when the Cardinals scored 2 in the home half of the first, then added 2 more off a home run in the 3rd. Grimes was lights out on the mound, rarely running into trouble until the 9th inning. Looking to close out the series, Grimes allowed 2 runs across with 2 outs and was yanked in favor of Bill Hallahan. Up 2 with 2 on and 2 outs in the 9th, Hallahan came in and forced the A's Max Bishop to fly out to center field. Championship number 2 was secured for the St. Louis Cardinals, and the first that was closed out at Sportsman's Park. Thank you for watching The Bad Baseball Fan. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the origins of Sportsman's Park, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the store for merch if you want to rep your favorite YouTube channel. Anyways, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week for part 3.